Hello, this is Ann Merkel, and I'd like to welcome you to this video where we're going to talk about epigenetics. And I want to share with you more about my Functional Epigenetics Health Program that you're interested in, and let you know about how the information that I provide about your genes and your lifestyle and your nutrition, your dietary habits, your lifestyle, your home life, your relationships, all that comes together to keep your genes flowing in the right direction. So I have studied for over 30 years to be at this place where I can help you in a functional medicine way, where I combine the area of energy medicine, which I have been practicing for over 25 years, and the energy of natural medicine, which I've been researching for over 30 years and have been in and out of, but now I've officially several years ago finished my second doctorate to enable me to work with people and their physical bodies as well as their minds and spirits. So let's dive right in. Epigenetics is the new science of understanding that, unlike what Darwin said, that everything was survival of the fittest and our genes were what controlled our health and our destiny, basically. This tells us that we can control our destiny, we can control our health, we can control the health of our genes. And so I'm going to share with you a few books written by some colleagues and people that I know, that some of them I've studied with, and this will give you a little bit of an idea of, if you want to go further, how you can learn more information. So one of the people that was early on in the field of epigenetics is Bruce Lipton, and he wrote the book Biology of Belief. He was featured in the movie, the film The Secret, and he's taught at University of Wisconsin School of Medicine, Stanford School of Medicine. He was a stem cell biologist, and then he discovered that when you change the environment of these stem cells or any cell, you can change the genetic structure. I mean, it's still got the structure, but it changes how the genes that you inherit or that are in a cell or all over your body actually work, and how they're triggered and how they function. And it can keep them in balance based on, or knock them out of balance based on your lifestyle. So in Bruce's book, he gives a lot of information about how his whole style of biology, his belief system, and what he started teaching in medical school completely shifted. So he was on the cutting edge of epigenetics, and he started noticing this information that was all about genes and cells, and how changing the environment changes how the genes actually act in an organism. And he started understanding that back in the 70s and 80s, and then when the Human Genome Project was undertaken in the late 90s, more and more research started coming out. Scholarly papers in the Journal of American Medical Association and health magazines and other health forums that were peer edited and peer voted in articles and research, and there were a number of different new reports that came out in the early 2000s, 2001, 2003, all about epigenetics. So it's not a woo-woo thing. It is science, and it's not known by the masses as much, but research science knows all about epigenetics and has pretty much accepted that as real and the norm, and that is what my whole practice and the Functional Epigenetics Health Program is based on. because I'm going to use the information and the many tools that I have to support you to stay healthy and to keep the genes that you've inherited that may have some weaknesses and may deviate from the norm because you've inherited from one or both parents certain characteristics that aren't quite normal, but you can keep them acting as normal no matter what you've inherited by the environment. And that has to do with what you think, what you feel, what the mind chatter is saying, and then, of course, your lifestyle, the environment of your home, how you clean your house, what you breathe, what you drink, what you eat, what you supplement your body nutritionally with. And so it has feet in both of my areas of expertise, which are energy medicine and natural medicine. So we're going to cover all these bases in supporting you in your unique journey, learning more about your specific genes and how to keep yourself healthy. So if you want to go a little further, here's another one of my colleagues. This is somebody I've attended conferences with. We've both spoken at the annual international meeting of the Association for Comprehensive Energy Psychology. This one is Dr. Dawson Church. He works a lot with energy psychologists. He is a PhD. I don't think he's considered an energy psychologist because he's not a licensed psychologist per se, like I'm not either. But we both work with the techniques that energy psychologists use, and we both use a lot of energy therapy. And this whole book, The Genie in Your Genes, is all about how the thoughts, the traumas, even the emotions that are in your DNA that you've inherited, traumas of your ancestors, which then are coded. They may not come out and actually look different in your genes, but they're still held in the DNA, and how you can clear things for your parents, your grandparents that you're reacting from. A lot of times I'll have clients that come to me and they say, oh my God, I'm so hypervigilant, I'm so anxious, I have panic attacks regularly, and I can't tell you that anything's ever happened in my life before. So I don't know why I'm the one suffering with these anxiety attacks. And so usually the first thing I ask them is, have you had any ancestors who fought in a war, who were in an active war zone? And, I always get these big, like, oh my gosh, how did you know? My father was a Vietnam vet. My grandfather fought in World War I and never talked about it after that. So, it's like, okay, so these people had traumas, and they may have been suffering from what then wasn't even called post-traumatic stress disorder, but that's what it was. You've inherited that potentially. It's showing up not in the genes as I'm, looking at them in a report, like this report, which is what I will use for reading your raw data from your genes. But basically, it will show up, this trauma, energetically. It's being held by you, and so we can clear it. And I'm going to teach you these easy-to-use, fast-moving tools that Dawson Church talks about, and it continues to blow his mind because he's a research writer. And he does a lot of research into medicine, into energy psychology and energy therapies. And yet his left brain still has a hard time explaining how it works, but it does. And he's got lots of cases in his book about how that works. Another person that, as I got more into genes, I realized that even if you've got really good genes and they're all looking good, if you've had a dirty lifestyle and you've been smoking or hanging around, you live next door to a gas station and you're smelling fumes all the time, or you're under high tension electrical wires and you're around EMFs all the time, electrical EMF, it's just totally electromagnetic fields. EMF. Anyway, if you're around those being bombarded all the time, or you eat total junk food and you're not getting any nutrition and you never have extra nutritional supplements, then you can make your genes dirty on a genetic test like 23andMe, which is what I use. It will not, come off as your genes have actually mutated, although sometimes they might. But you will have what's called dirty genes. And you can understand more about dirty genes through another one of my colleagues, Dr. Ben Lynch, who I've studied with, and he's well known. This is his book called Dirty Genes by Dr. Ben Lynch, and he'll describe some of the most common genes that get dirty by the American or the Western lifestyle, the SAD, Standard American Diet, and just our lifestyle of lots of stress, not enough sleep, not enough exercise, not enough sweating, eating gluten, eating GMO, being bombarded by pesticides and herbicides and food additives and unnatural frankenfood here and there. So that book is really good. But I'm going to walk you through your own genetic pattern as we get into this program. And so what we're going to do first is enter through your stress level, enter through your emotional timetable of any traumas, any background. If you were a first child or a surprise pregnancy to your mother, you may have had pre-birth trauma that you took in because your mother was traumatized. Maybe it was her first pregnancy and she was scared. Most first-time mothers are a little bit afraid. They don't know what to expect. Their body's changing and they want to be good mothers and they want to have an easy birth and they just don't know. But if you were born in a situation where you weren't wanted, you couldn't be afforded, there was a lot of stress, many different reasons why a mother may have negative thoughts or be suffering during a pregnancy, saying the timing's not right, I love children, but I just, I'm totally stressed out, I can't do it right now. That all goes into the baby, and that is something you can be carrying that can cause you to be sick later in life too. I have too many autoimmune chronic illness patients, clients that suffer from a sense of unworthiness because they thought they made their mother suffer when she conceived them. Now, it wasn't their fault. They weren't there when the sexual act occurred. But because the mother was afraid, or the mother had difficulty during the pregnancy, or there were just economic or private personal matters that caused some angst in the mother, everything the mother feels goes right into the developing baby in the womb. And, it's precognitive for the child, it's pre-verbal for the child, but the child picks up on all the feelings viscerally, and it goes into their organs and into their tissues, and it's still there. So that is what we can easily go in and clear, and I can teach you how to do that. You can learn some of the basic tools, and then I'll guide you to use those. Now, in my own book, which you can find on my website, or you can find it on Amazon under my name, AnnMerkel.com. I mean, Ann Merkel. You can find my, I've got 4 books out, and they're all for people that use energy therapies. But one also uses the natural medicine to support treating chronic conditions, chronic health conditions, and autoimmune diagnosed conditions. Now, I don't diagnose, but they've been diagnosed by other people as having autoimmune. And there are a lot of the energy therapy, there's a lot of energy therapy used in that book, and there are protocols that you could follow if you have similar conditions as the 8 cases that I share in the book. And at the back there's an appendix full of things you can say, setup statements, and how you can plug in statements and things that you can follow as you're on your own path. So again, this is all going to be tailored just for you, and we're going to cover that. We're going to cover what you're eating, what your lifestyle is like, your sleep patterns, your water drinking patterns, all that kind of stuff. And while we're at it, why don't we all have a drink? Okay, so I'm almost finished here. Like I said, I want you to go to AnnMerkel.com, and if you go to AnnMerkel.com/free-EFT-stuff, that's free-EFT.stuff. EFT means Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's one of the energy therapy techniques that is very well known and very well used and easy to follow. If you go to that page, AnnMerkel.com/free-EFT-stuff, you will find a video where I go over the technique of Emotional Freedom Technique. I will show you the meridian tapping. They're acupuncture points where you just tap on your body a few different places, and it shows you where to tap, and then I go back and I say, okay, so what you've been tapping on here, this is the stomach meridian, and this is the bladder meridian, and these are the kidney meridians. And, here's gallbladder, and this is the governing vessel and the conception vessel. And then I tell you 90% of the time, what the emotions are that are held in that particular meridian. And usually the meridians are related to organs, but not always. And we have 14 sets of meridians, usually, with some exceptions, they're bilateral, so you have, gallbladder on this side, gallbladder on this side, and the gallbladder meridians go, other places. These are just input tapping points that are really good to use, for example, or the stomach meridian points, or the bladder meridian points. So I will teach you those, and then you can learn the emotions so that you can just, if you're feeling something and it's driving you crazy, you're really angry, or you're resentful, let's get rid of it now. You don't have to live with it. It's a heavy emotion. I'm going to go over that with you, and I share all that so you can learn it in that video. Also on that same web page, you can actually sign in and get another video or a series that is an introduction to EFT, so you can learn it on your own. And then there's another free exercise there that you can use to look at your personal values, what's most important to you, and prioritize what's most important to you in your life, which has to do with how you're creating your life from the inside out. And then it asks you, what are you trying to avoid most in your life? And interestingly enough, what we try to avoid, what we hate the most, what we don't want in our lives the most, we're putting energy into. And sometimes what we really don't want is canceling out what we really do want. So that's a very good exercise to do. And then I could guide you through letting go of the things that you're trying to avoid so that you're neutral. There's no stress, there's no emotional charge on that. and then you can go straight into creating that life of your desires based on your values. So that's all just kind of part of the program. We're just going in through the emotional component because that is a major way that you can control your genes. And then I will be in this program feeding you more and more data about how your body detoxes and what to stay away from, what to add to in order for your unique body with its SNPs or its variances to better detox. And then I will let you know, do you have a predisposition to cancer in this area because of this gene, or dementia in this area? And if so, that doesn't need to happen to you. This is not scary. This is all about, okay, so these are the steps you can take so you never go there. So you're going to stay healthy the rest of your life, and you're going to manage your health and manage your genes. So that's what epigenetics helps you understand. It helps you to take care of yourself by knowing who you really are. And you're totally unique from everybody else on the planet, and you can't be put into a box and treated like everybody else. So don't let anybody put you in a box. When I work with somebody, and when you work with any other functional medicine practitioner, they're going to look at the whole you. Your stress level, your nutrition, your water intake, the air you're breathing, your environment, your sleep, all of that is part of who you are. What is your emotional living situation? Are you in relationship? If you aren't, all of that is part of what makes you healthy or makes you chronically show up with symptoms. And instead of masking symptoms, let's work with clearing root causes of some of the symptoms and managing the rest. And how deep can you go? I mean, we're going to the deepest levels where we're clearing the trauma in your DNA, the stress in your DNA, and we're clearing the dirtiness of some of your genes, and we're managing the specific ones that may have weaknesses to begin with. So you can create your destiny, and that is where this whole program is empowering, and the whole concept of epigenetics is totally empowering. So if you came to me on a retreat, I could use two different kinds of acupuncture and homeopathics and get things moving a little faster. But I'd still be teaching you how to do the self-maintenance through meridian tapping on yourself, meridian holding, pulse points on your wrists and, certain points on your body. And I can do that by phone or by Zoom, or I don't like Skype very much. It kind of comes and goes, but I'll be doing more on Facebook Live and special groups. I'll be doing more via Zoom. And so you'll see more of me, as well as hear my voice on more EFT radio, blog talk radio pods and podcasts. So there are a lot of ways you'll be getting this information. So welcome aboard, and I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about all the different ways you can manage your health via knowing more about your genes and how malleable those genes really can be as you learn to manage them. So stay healthy, and we'll be back in another video or another audio. So look for my emails. Bye.